Okay, hi everyone. I'm Glenn Parsons, previous CEO of Mariana Resources. And really what we're bringing here today is Awale Resources, which is effectively our West African assets, specifically Ivory Coast, that we've taken out of the Mariana fold, which is owned by Sandstorm at the moment. And we'll be listing them in December this year. Painful. Okay, so we are focused solely at the moment West African based. We're looking at Ivory Coast, specifically the Birimian Belt. And as you know, Ivory Coast, there certainly is a lot of interest in terms of gold exploration, gold production from West Africa. Awale, what it is actually, just in terms of the name, is actually a board game, specifically an African board game, and that's why we've given it the name. So just talking about Awale and who we are. So we are a successful management team. We do have crystallized value expertise. As I say, we sold our business Mariana to Sandstorm, which was obviously quite value accretive to our shareholders. We have quite a strong foothold in Ivory Coast at the moment. We've got 4 granted licenses for around 1,600 square kilometers, plus a whole of seven applications for a further 3,000 odd square kilometers. We have drill-ready targets. Effectively, we have been pretty active, even as Mariana. We acquired this in October last year. We've moved the project quite far forward, and we continue to move it with Sandstorm funding at the moment. And we've actually at a stage now where we're drill ready, and we're actually mobilizing a drill rig. Just in terms of the board, as I mentioned, we are a Mariana team, and effectively Mariana, the team has taken these assets out and is taking these assets out. So I am the CEO. Eric Roth, who was my COO in Mariana, is a non-executive director from a technical perspective. Ron Ho, specifically on the Sandstorm side, he was a board member of Mariana as well and maintains a board seat with us. And then Dirk Hartman, previously CFO of Silver Bear Resources, comes onto our board. But on the management team side, again, still a very strong Mariana team. Myself as CEO, COO, Andrew Chubb. As Mariana, we brought on Andrew as a consultant. In terms of the work that was done, in terms of the momentum we were building up, we asked him to join us on a permanent basis, and he joined us as Mariana, and now he's the COO of Awale Resources. Sharon Cooper, our CFO, and then Karen, who's over there on the investor relations side. We do run a totally Ivorian team in Côte d'Ivoire, which we think is essential moving forward in the country. We have a great relationship with the government as a junior, as well as in terms of the land position that we have. Sorry, just on the technical advisory, we do have Eric Roth as well as Neil Adzed. Just in terms of the deal going forward, so what's happening is Awale is purchasing these assets out of Sandstorm. Effectively, we're giving away a 2% NSR to acquire the assets. And we are really restructuring the business by buying out minorities. So we're buying out the Awale, the holdings, which were a 20% shareholder, as well as an underlying 10% local shareholder. So now we own these assets 100%. We're looking at a financing later in December of around 3 million Canadian, which will give us a further 12 million shares. So we are going to be quite modestly structured, very investor friendly in terms of 25 million shares out there with a market cap of around 6.5 to 7 million Canadian. This is quite interesting. Just in terms of why we are focusing on Côte d'Ivoire, effectively, 33% of the known Birimian Belt sits in Côte d'Ivoire, of which accounts for around 10% production. So we know it's an underexplored area. That's specifically our expertise as Mariana going forward, and hence why we think that, from a prospectivity perspective, it's worthwhile being here. Our licenses, we predominantly focused on the eastern side, around the Bonduku area, which we call the Bonduku project. We do have applications in Abunguru and another granted license up on the western side, Odieni. Now, I'd just like to actually ask Andrew Chubb. So just really trying to give you an introduction to the team. Andrew is actually on the ground. He's based in Malta. He's effectively in country every 2 to 3 weeks, for 2 to 3 weeks, and he runs our team. Andrew, if you don't mind just taking over quickly, yeah.
Sure.
Thanks, man.
How much time have we got?
Not very long.
No. So as Glenn mentioned, we started working on this project over 12 months ago. So during that time, we've completed stream sediment geochemistry, aerial surveys, and more focused auger geochemistry, mapping, and so forth. So we've ended up with 12 target areas which we've been working on ranking, and 3 main sort of shear zones which we're following, and the main one is the Awale shear, which is 38 kilometres. Well, we've got 38 kilometres of, and our geochemistry focused on the southwestern, the southeastern corner there. Which button's for forward? That one. So this is a zoom in on that southeastern corner. That's 15 kilometres of strike there. Auger geochemistry. Mostly anomalous. That central zone's about 6 kilometres long, and that is becoming a focus area. We've done a small amount of orientation IP there as well, and there is orpaillage through there, and rock chip samples from orpaillage are sort of up to 30 grams, 29 grams per tonne, I think, and the auger anomaly through that zone, if we zoom in on it. Oh, I've gone the wrong way. So we're just zooming in on that central zone. We have a 6 kilometre long mineralised zone and coalescing auger geochemistry and geophysical targets. So the shear zone in the geophysics is coincident with the auger geochemistry. So we plan to drill test these with the rig that is mobilising. Up to 30 grams per, like I said, up to 30 grams per tonne in auger and rock chip sampling. We have 4 targets that we plan to drill. The second of these, the second target is Casino. There is a 600 odd metre long orpaillage there, with a second zone which has just been opened up by the orpailleur, up to 500, up to 600 gram per tonne rock chips from the orpaillage. So potential for high grade mineralisation, vein mineralisation there. And again, the trends in the orpaillage are coincident with the trends in the geophysics, and there are other geophysical anomalies which are coincident with soil anomalies which are outside that main orpaillage zone. So we plan to test those moving forward as well. So just quickly at the end, so with the 12 targets that we have, the idea is to keep working those up with geochemistry and geophysics, while at the same time drill target testing early phase targets, and keep shifting those targets through our ranking system to further drilling. I've actually got through that pretty quick. Yeah.
So effectively, I mean, just from Awale's perspective, or from our perspective, I mean, what we are trying to do, we haven't just embarked on, we know we've got artisanal workings, we haven't just gone in with a drill program straight below them. We've actually built up systematic work, from early stage soil geochem, grid sampling, stream sediment sampling, auger drilling, and effectively now to drill targeting. So that's where we've achieved the four main targets for us that we'll be drilling now, starting now in December. And results coming out in January. Hopefully we've listed in Q4. That's the intention. We think we will be listed. We have done the deal with Spider. We've done the deal with Sandstorm. And so we're pretty far down the line. We're waiting for TSX effectively to approve our final listing statement. So 7,500 meters of drilling. We have, with the money we raise, we're probably going to be pretty flexible. In terms of if we're seeing results coming through, on one zone, it does give us some flexibility to probably target a little bit further. And we see, the opportunity just in terms of the value as an exploration company, how we're coming onto the TSX, quite lowly valued, but with significant upside. But I do stress, it is greenfield exploration. There certainly is a lot of risk, but there's a lot of excitement and a lot of mineralization to follow up on. So thanks very much.